I'm curious what your take is on why neurodiverse people
Mm,
burn out. What leads to that?
yes. Okay.
What happens in their world that leads
Yes.
to burnout usually?
Mm. Yeah. So one thing is the environment, like I mentioned, and you know, it can help. It's something that you can consider, but you need to be very honest with yourself. And another thing is all the things that we do. So, for example, masking is very draining. Having to deal with sensory sensitivities. Another that there's quite a few things, but one I would like to mention actually is a lot of neurodivergent people have some sort of difficulty with interoception and proprioceptions. That is, the feeling and sensation of your own body signals. So feelings like hunger and thirst and tiredness and fatigue. And quite often we don't really feel those things until they are really, really bad. And of course, if you don't feed yourself enough or in time, or if you don't rest enough or in time, you're gonna get more tired than neurotypical person perhaps. So yeah, that as well will drive you towards burnout.
Yeah. So you mentioned there's, no quick fix to a neurodivergent person's problems. Um, and it seems like it's more to do with lifestyle and everyday choices that you make. Could you talk me through some lifestyle choices or
Mhm.
lifestyle habits that you really recommend for neurodivergent people?
Um, sure. So one thing I'm gonna say is gonna be really boring, and people are gonna roll their eyes, but we can't skip that. It's just taking care of the basic body needs, because a lot of people, neurodivergent people who are prone to burnout, uh, a lot of them are kind of inclined, let's say, to skip meals or to go to bed late. And there's nothing wrong with like going to bed late or anything like that. But if you allow yourself to sleep enough time and if you sleep well, but or not drink enough water. So it's really just starting with the basic things that your body needs. Drink enough water, eat enough food, get enough sleep, move your body, regulate your nervous system, things like that everyone knows that they have to do. But a lot of neurodivergent people, they do skip some of those things. And I'm sure, like, being an intelligent person, you understand, like, if you haven't had enough food, you can't expect your body to feel well and to perform well. Your body's gonna feel depleted. The same with sleep. And the first thing I always do is just check all the basic things that the person is doing to take care of themselves, and there's always gaps. So we always try to find solutions how to fill those gaps. So it can be hard because of course we're all busy and a lot of people are perfectionists, but it's really about small tweaks. You don't have to have like a perfect diet, but you just need to have enough food to start with. Once you get better, you can worry about better diet and healthier foods. But to start with, you just need enough food and things like that. So that's always the first thing to take care of. And as we do that, then we often encounter deeper causes. Because when a person cannot take care of a certain thing, it's quite hard for them to do it. Then we start looking at the narratives around it. Like maybe they feel like they have to skip lunch because they have too much work, and they have to complete that work because they think their boss thinks something of them. And it's like they feel not worthy, and they feel they need to prove something. And it's for every person is a different story, but there's always something around narratives that they have around um why they they cannot or don't deserve to take care of themselves better. So then we kind of look at those.
Mm-hmm.
This quite often, I mean, it's different for different types of groups, but there's one group that is perfectionist people that are, I mean, perfectionism is not really personality trait, it's a trauma response, and many people don't realize that. So we need to we need to look at that and take care of that, and as well so many other things. Again, every person is different, but I'm just giving one example.
Yeah. Would you say that people's limiting beliefs and just like negative perceptions of themselves are the biggest thing that's holding them back?
It's one of them. Yeah, it's one of them. Could be for some people for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to ask too, why do you think people make bad or unhealthy lifestyle choices that are only actually, making things harder for themselves?
I don't want to call them bad choices, it's I've been there where, I'm burnt out and I don't have the energy to cook, but I've always used to eat healthy and I cannot imagine to eat something that's not healthy. So then I skip meals and wait to have more energy so that I can cook better. But yeah, it's perfect. It can be, in my case it was perfectionism. In my case it was as well like trying to push through and hoping that it's gonna get better soon and there's gonna be less work. Um and in some cases people also don't know how to approach this. There's this too much going on, there's everything is confusing. Someone says, oh, you need this meditation, someone says go to therapy, someone says medication, and it's just like so much information out there, you don't even know where to start, and you just do like random things that seem plausible to you, but yeah, it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah. So earlier you also mentioned regulating your nervous system, how that should be,
Mhm.
a part of the lifestyle. What does that look like to you? Or could you give, people watching or listening, could you give them an idea of how do you regulate your nervous system on a day-to-day basis?
Mm. Um, well, I have a whole course on that, so I'm gonna try to make it short. Um, in reality, your nervous system will regulate when it feels safe. A lot of people think that opposite to stress or anxiety is calm, but it's not. It's actually safety. When you feel safe in your body, when you feel safety viscerally, then your nervous system can calm down. And it can be really hard when we live in the society that feels unsafe in so many different ways, especially as a neurodivergent person in a neurotypical world, or whatever is happening in the world. There's something every week where people might not feel safe, or something in their family, someone is judging them, they feel the need to mask, they need, there's so much, of course, and it's a bit hard to find that feeling of safety. It does require working with yourself, it does require skills and habits. Yeah, that's the important thing I want to emphasize. It is a skill and a habit that you can learn and you can practice and you can get better at. Regulating your nervous system is a skill and a habit. It's not something that you can kind of sit down and meditate and it will happen by magic. It can for some people, but for others it won't. So there's nothing wrong if it's not so easy. It just means you need to practice that skill and habit. And one of the very easy ways to do that is just focus on the exhale, because your inhale activates the stress response and the exhale activates the rest and digest response. So you need to make sure the exhale is longer than the inhale. Then the balance will tip over to that rest and digest. If you focus on the exhale, your physiology is going to tip over to the side of rest and digest, then your body's going to start feeling more rested, more relaxed, and more safe. So this is something you can do easily, in a meeting, when you're driving, when you're with your kids. You just inhale, ideally through your nose and into your stomach, and then make a longer exhale. And you can count. You can do, I don't know, 3 and 6 or 4 and 8, and whatever you like. Or if you don't like counting, you can just focus on the exhale and make sure it's long. and you will soon start to feel relaxed.
Hmm. Yeah. And what about yoga or meditation or, there's
Mm,
many like breath work. There's so many
mhm.
techniques out there. How would you say how, how do you advise neurodivergent people to navigate those modalities?
Yes, I very much recommend finding a specialist and following them and working with them. It could be me, it could be a yoga teacher, it could be um, so meditation teacher. I would very much recommend that because and you might have to try a few different ones until you find someone who resonates, or maybe there are definitely neurodivergent specialists as well, because I think that one of the biggest mistakes that people do is just randomly trying lots of different tools, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we all do that. Like, I do that. I try lots of different tools, and I am happy that there are so many self-help tools available out there. But at the same time, we need to understand that this is mental health, and for it to work, you need to work with somebody who understands your condition, who understands your situation, and can help you learn the skills and habits and practice them, and make sure they are effective. Because I see so many people, clients who come to me, they've tried so many different things and nothing's worked for them. And it's not because they were bad tools, or not because something is wrong with those people. It's just like about matching the tool with the problem, and also knowing how to use it, when to use it. It's not just about what to do, it's how to do it, and to understand how it actually works, how it's supposed to integrate into your whole wellness system. And this is when it can be very effective, and this is where you can see the difference.
Hmm. Yeah. And and you hear a lot of people talking about the great potential that neurodiverse people have and all the gifts that they have that are just, waiting to be unearthed. And yeah, I'm wondering what's your perspective on that, when it comes to being a thriving neurodivergent person.
Mm.
What potential do you see in a lot of neurodivergent people?
Hmm. Well, in it's different in each person. I see a lot of neurodivergent people are very talented. A lot of them are high achieving, um, and they actually can achieve a lot. It's just they need to find what they want to do, how and where, and what they want to achieve, and put their mind to it. But at the same time, you need to balance it with self-care, because you're only gonna go as far as your body allows you to. But yeah, potential is great, and I can, there are many different examples, and I don't want to, that there's lots of very successful neurodivergent people out there. Even people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and actors and politicians and whatnot. And I know, like, some of those people are have now bad name with what they've done. Um, and I'm not, saying you have to follow in their footsteps. But the truth is that it is very possible to achieve a lot, and to go far. Of course, we some people are better positioned, having more privilege. Some people are less privileged, and it's going to be harder for them. But you don't have to become the next billionaire. You can just create the life where you're thriving, and that is enough. And it doesn't even have to be thriving in a way of making money or being famous. It can look different for each person. For some people, it's just being a really good baker, and having a little house in a forest. That's success and happiness for them. And that's okay. Everyone has their own definition, but I think the potential is really just everyone is capable of creating their own happiness. It's just they might need some help getting there.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you find that? a lot of neurodivergent people kind of struggle with a pressure to conform, and that keeps them from going after what they really want in life and their purpose?
Yeah, some people might. I think most people, even neurotypical, might feel the need to conform. But it very much depends on the person and their environment.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, are there any parting thoughts or anything that you want to leave to neurodivergent listeners out there?
Um, I think one topic we kind of wanted to talk about, what maybe in the beginning, but we somehow skipped other things, was about that myth of curing autism. Um, so obviously we know that there is no such thing as cure, but we definitely can create a more positive life, more life where we can thrive more, and not by fixing ourselves or pushing through, but by learning how to really take good care of ourselves, and then we can create that life that we want. And it's not about erasing autism. It's about like restoring the capacity and safety in our bodies so we can live more fully as ourselves.
Hmm. Yeah, I often term it meeting your autism halfway, which
Mm-hmm.
is like you have to kind of, it is a gift, it's there for you, but you
Mm.
need to, meet it halfway. Does
Mm.
that kind of align with your perspective on it?
Yeah. I have this concept called awareness swing. So when you don't know about autism, you are in one extreme where you might be ignoring your needs or pushing through, um, and you would be burning out and feeling miserable. And then people find out they're autistic, and then they swing to the other direction where excuse me, they swing to the other direct the other extreme where they are avoiding every stimulant, avoiding any circumstance where that is overwhelming, and not allowing themselves to go anywhere or do anything, and then it's like really restrictive, and both of these need to happen at some point of our lives, but when we go on that swing, at one point it has to like settle somewhere in the middle. You can find where is that middle, where you can recognize that you have certain challenges, but also find ways to work with them and not let them stop you from living your life.
Yeah. And personally, I find that I notice in the neurodivergent community,
Hmm.
there's kind of a bit of a fixed mindset. There's like fixed mindset and then there's growth mindset. And I
Mm.
find oftentimes neurodivergent people kind of fall into like a victim mindset where they feel kind
Oh
of
yeah,
fixed and stuck where they are and
yeah,
they can't get out. Do
yeah.
you kind of agree with that perspective or do you have a different one?
I think there's both types of people, but also it really depends on the circumstance. Like even me myself, I can be fixed in one area and I can have growth mindset in another area, and it's just like learning where you are and what you want to do, and maybe for time being, I just need to be fixed on one thing so I can grow on the other thing, right? So it's not like putting shade or judgment anywhere. It's just realizing that it's part of human experience to have those things, and that happens to everyone. But yeah, and I definitely agree that there is a lot of that in some spaces of the internet, and it kind of does the job of like again, I don't want to throw shade on the neurodivergent influencers because some of them are really great and doing great job. But some of them do fall into trap of just like complaining and saying how this is hard, how this is bad, how we are struggling, and how world is unfair. And the thing is that people really like hearing that, and they resonate with that. It validates their experience. So then it kind of gets into the loop where, they feel really validated, so they kind of put lots of likes, and then the algorithm really likes that type of content, so it really helps the person doing that grow, so they do more of that. So it's like there is a lot of that going on, and it does a good job of making people feel validated and accepted, because that's very important if you want to be well, if you want to grow, if you want to even if you want to grow, firstly you need to feel seen and validated as you are. But there is a danger of getting stuck there, and just like fall into that victim mode. And I don't want to go into like victim blaming, of course. Like it's not it's nobody's fault that they are struggling, or that society is the unfair to us. But we need to also understand that there is a lot we can do to help ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel collectively people are more accepting of neurodiversity these days, and that it's becoming an easier and easier world for a neurodivergent person? Or do you not see much change in the last few years?
I think there is a lot of improvement. I guess it depends where in the world you are, but I got diagnosed, I think it's soon gonna be, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years. And I definitely see it's getting better and better. And there's new things. Like my local supermarket just announced that they do quiet hour between 8 and 9 p.m. So people who are highly sensitive can go in and not have like bright lights and loud music, and they can go and get their groceries in peace. So I see things like that pop up all the time. And I think it's getting better and better. But at the same time, with more awareness, there's more like what's happening with what's his name, RFK.
RFK, yeah, Robert F.
Yeah.
Kennedy Jr.
Okay, so yeah, there's people who are like really not happy with growing awareness and adaptations, and it triggers all sorts of issues, and for so I think it might grow to an extent where we might have to start um I don't even know what, but but I think some people are not happy with that, and then there is issues around politics and things I don't want to get into. But I hope that it all gets better and better and resolved. But it might go either direction. Sometimes when you realize there's a lot of something, some people might want to put it down. So we'll see what
Hmm.
happens.
I want to ask you about just psychiatric medication and how that
Uh-huh.
compares to these like natural
Hmm.
remedies.
Yeah.
Um, do you have a perspective on that where, because like a lot of people claim that psychiatric drugs oftentimes are counterproductive and overprescribed,
Hmm.
and that people aren't really using the natural remedies
Hmm.
to their advantage as much. So I want to ask you about your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think there is no one right answer. It's very good to have these conversations and explore. I know in some areas of the world they are overprescribed, but at the same time there is also a lot of stigma around using them. So in for some people they might actually deny the care that they need. And I think there is time and place for everything. Like I've definitely been in some very dark places myself. So I understand that sometimes like you just need something. You just need like anything to help you out, to help you stay sane. And luckily I had a lot of support and help, and I have background in psychology. I have so many tools that I know how to like manage myself and get better. But I know some people don't, and it can also be really hard to try and organize that when you're in a hard place. So yeah, sometimes it can be quite wise solution to let yourself get help, to help yourself get out of a situation that is difficult. And then later when you're better, you can try and find better maybe or natural ways that fit your lifestyle, or your how to say it, your outlook, your own, some people are very much, pro natural, and it costs them a lot of willpower to admit that they need medication, and then they want to go back to natural methods. But even for such people, sometimes they need, and on the other hand, yeah, there are times where certain conditions or situations can be managed quite well with natural solutions, or even just therapy, coaching, and things like that. And there is definitely a case um, for trying a few different things, because before going to medication, it also depends what type of medication. There's some medication that can cause dependency, or that can be quite hard to go off later. But then there are medications like ADHD medications. So if that helps you to focus and to be productive, then great. At the same time, you also need other skills to, because ADHD is not just about focus and getting work done. There's a lot of other aspects that you need to take care of. So you still need to manage it in a few different ways. Medication is not enough.
Hmm. Yeah.
And also, it's not possible for each person. Some people have side effects, or pregnancies, or whatever, that they can't find medication for.
Yeah. So Paula, thank you so much for coming on and having this amazing conversation. I found it super interesting. Where can people find you or support you if they want to learn more?
You can definitely find me on Instagram. I think that's kind of my main channel at the moment. So it's paula.mindfulness. And I would love for people to message me. I know some people are shy, and that's okay if you just want to talk. But I love to talk to people. So message me, tell me what you thought about the episode, ask me questions about your situation. I'll be glad to point in the right direction, or see if there's something I can help you with my services and products. So we can have a little chat and see where it goes, or not.
Hmm. Yeah. And yeah, don't be scared to message me as well. I feel the same way. And yeah, we'll put all of your links down in the description below.
Hmm.
And yeah, we thank you all for being here. Comment, like, subscribe to support both of us. And yeah, we wish you a beautiful rest of the day.